What is up? Welcome back to another video. Today's topic is going to be all things bloating. I often get asked on Instagram about this, so I thought I would put together my top 10 tips to help with this. Bloating happens for a number of reasons, and it usually kind of feels as if your stomach is swollen. It looks a bit bigger. It usually happens after eating a meal, and sometimes it comes down to intolerances. But today's video is going to talk you through some ways that you can kind of prevent bloating, but also help manage it. And just know that it is totally normal for our stomachs to expand throughout the day and to look fuller by the end of the day when we're getting into bed, because we have put in a lot more water and food than we had when we started out the day. So if you are finding that you're looking in the mirror thinking, oh my gosh, why doesn't my tummy look as flat as it did in the morning, it's totally normal. Your body's still digesting all the food that you've had throughout the day. The first tip is going to be don't eat too much in one go. If you're someone that likes to have big meals like myself, you might find that you have the tendency to get bloated more often because you are putting in more food into your stomach at one time. So instead of having 3 larger meals, you might decide that you're going to split your meals up throughout the day and have smaller meals so that you have time to digest it and you're putting less food into your stomach. Now, in terms of meal sizes, everyone is different. So for someone that has the tendency to bloat more, they might find that they feel more full and more kind of bloated after a smaller meal than someone that doesn't really have the tendency to bloat, and they can handle having larger meals. So just by decreasing your meal size, your portion size, this can really help just with the digestion throughout the day. Number 2, rule out any foods that you're allergic to or possibly intolerant to. When we eat foods that our body is intolerant to or allergic to, it can often result in excess gas production and therefore bloating and other symptoms. So we want to be aware of the foods we're allergic to. You can do this by heading to the doctors and getting a blood test or like a allergy test, which is what I have done in the past. And we can also do it by taking note of the foods that we tend to bloat after eating. So for me personally, I'm quite lactose intolerant. I should not have as much dairy as I do. I've currently cut it out right now because I find when I have too much dairy, not only do I get eczema, but I also notice a lot more bloating. So it is really important to take note of what foods tend to leave you feeling bloated. Go to the doctors, get checked for an allergy test, and also just kind of stay away from those foods that you feel kind of cause you to get those symptoms of bloating, or maybe it's eczema or other discomforts. Common foods or ingredients that people often find they bloat after are lactose, fructose, eggs, wheat, and gluten. So try and kind of look at the foods that are within there. So the lactose, obviously the dairy. Some people will find that fruits cause them to bloat. Eggs, obviously, even egg whites might affect you if you're having those. And then of course for wheat and gluten, it can be anything from oats to bread to pastas. Just really be in tune with your body and pay attention to what's causing you to bloat. Both fructose and lactose are part of a larger indigestible group of carbs or fiber known as FODMAPs. Intolerance to FODMAPs is one of the key reasons why a lot of people get that abdominal pain and bloating. Number 3 flows on nicely from that, and that is to try and eat a low FODMAP diet. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is one of the most common digestive issues in the world right now. I thought I would share a few of the higher FODMAP foods so that you kind of get an idea of what to steer clear from. When I read this list, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I eat so many of them. But anyway, wheat, onions, garlic, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, artichokes, beans, apples, pears, and watermelon. That is just a few of the many things listed on a high FODMAP food list. And of course, it can seem a little bit overwhelming if you were to look at any list online and think, oh my gosh, I eat so many of them. So it might not be that you're going to erase all of them completely, but it might be that you try and take back the amount in which you are eating of those higher FODMAP foods to see how you feel. And I personally find that when I cut back on certain foods that are making me feel uncomfortable, it just leaves me feeling so much better mentally and physically. Avoid swallowing gas or air. There's 2 sources of gas in the digestive system. So one is gas produced by the bacteria in the gut, and the other is air or gas that is swallowed when you eat or drink. So how many of you like drinking fizzy drinks? I personally stick to water, but one of the biggest offenders when it comes to getting that bloated feeling is actually drinking things like sparkling water or any other kind of carbonated fizzy drink. Fizzy drinks contain bubbles with carbon dioxide. That is a gas that can actually be released from the liquid when it gets into your stomach, giving you that bloated feeling. Now let's talk about swallowed air. So this might sound silly, but things like chewing gum, drinking through a straw, maybe eating a meal in a rush and trying to talk at the same time leads you to end up in taking more air whilst eating than you usually would. So if you are finding that you're feeling a little bloated throughout the day and you've been chewing gum a lot, maybe you want to cut out that. We'll talk about gum in another point later on, but also make sure that you are sitting down mindfully eating and chewing your food without trying to rush and eat on the go or to eat while you're talking at the same time. Number 5, don't eat foods that make you feel gassy. Not the nicest topic to talk about, but high fiber foods often cause an increase in the gas within you, which can lead you to feeling bloated, and it's not a comfortable feeling. So I commonly get this issue with vegetarians and vegans because they are eating a lot of beans, legumes, soy, wheat. These foods can really cause that increase in gas, and we really want to be aware by keeping a food diary of exactly what foods are causing us to feel bloated or maybe gassy. And then from there, what you can do is either eliminate them or just take back the amount that you are actually eating them throughout the day. Number 6, be careful with sugar alcohols. Now this is where I mentioned chewing gum earlier, because sugar alcohols are commonly found in sugar-free foods and chewing gum. Now, the reason for this is because they are sometimes kind of considered as the healthier alternative to sugar, but when consumed in larger amounts, it can actually lead to some digestive issues and therefore bloating. The reason for this is the bacteria in your large intestine actually digest it and turn it into gas. So you should be aware of any kind of artificial sweeteners ending in "ol", such as erythritol or sorbitol. Earlier I mentioned FODMAP foods. Sugar alcohols are actually one of those high FODMAP foods. So if you are doing a low FODMAP diet, you need to be aware of sugar alcohols. I personally try and stay away from them, and if I am looking for something sweet, I'll go for a more natural sweetener such as stevia or sugar. In short, sugar alcohols are really hard for your body to digest, which is why it can cause digestive upsets and lead to things like bloating. Number 7, take a probiotic supplement and digestive enzyme. So I personally use the brand Be Pure. It's a New Zealand brand. I've been using them for about maybe 5 to 6 years, but I started using the digestive supplements maybe 3 years ago when I was preparing for a competition, and I knew that I needed to make sure my body was working in harmony in order to get the fat down, maintain my strength, and just go into my competition feeling my absolute best. So I'll pop up on the screen what each of these do, but pretty much I take this one, the Be Pure 2, first thing in the morning before I eat anything, at least half an hour before, and then at night about 1 or 2 hours after eating. And then I take the Digest Assist 3 times a day, so 5 to 10 minutes before eating a meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's just what I do. I personally find that it helps, and honestly, anything that helps with digestion and bloating, I am keen. Following on from speaking about digestion, tip number 8 is don't be constipated. And honestly, I did not want to talk about this, but here we go. So being constipated can often lead to that feeling of feeling full and feeling bloated. Constipation is a really common digestive issue, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's normal. So it is important to go and speak to a doctor so that you can rule out any issues. And of course, if you have any health issues, you should of course go and speak to your doctor. But when it comes to constipation, if you are kind of aware of what you're putting into your body, it might actually be that maybe you're not getting enough soluble fiber throughout your day. So there's 2 things to note on this. Yes, soluble fiber can help relieve the situation of constipation, but if you find that you are often gassy, like I mentioned earlier, increasing your fiber might not actually help with the bloating and the feelings of gassiness. So you do want to be cautious when looking to increase your fiber intake. Just note that constipation can actually exacerbate the feelings and symptoms of bloating. So if that's something that you're having an issue with, it might pay to look into it. Number 9, stay hydrated. So this actually links in nicely to number 8 about constipation, because drinking water and having physical exercise can sometimes help relieve the situation of constipation. You've probably been told many times before how important drinking water is. I'm pretty sure I post it on social media every single day. I personally make sure that I have a water bottle on me everywhere I go. It helps in so many different areas of your life, from your energy to reducing cravings to your skin to helping relieve constipation to helping with bloating. I cannot stress this enough. Stay hydrated. Make sure you take a water bottle everywhere you go. And if you're really slack with drinking water, maybe use an app to start tracking your water each day until you hit like a good minimum range that you feel has become a habit that you are doing day in and day out without even thinking about it. Lastly, number 10, probably should have mentioned it earlier in the video, but I guess I kind of mentioned it throughout, and that is to see a doctor if you have any serious health concerns. Bloating can usually be kind of fixed with a few changes in diet, or at least reduced by changing some of the things I've mentioned in this video today. But if you find that your bloating is getting severely worse or it's chronic, please make sure you go and see a doctor and chat to them all about it. Okay, so that wraps up my top 10 tips to help ease the discomfort of bloating. I hope that this helps you. I would absolutely love to know what tips you try and what really helps you. If you have any tips as well, please drop them in the comments below. And as always, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and remember to hit that bell button so you don't miss another video.